The slap echoed through the dining room like a gunshot. My mother-in-law's palm connected with my cheek in front of 20 relatives, all because my womb remained empty after 5 years of marriage. My husband sat frozen, silent as stone. I didn't cry. Instead, I stood slowly, my eyes finding the doorbell camera that had captured everything. As champagne glasses trembled on the mahogany table, I smiled, not the smile of a victim, but of someone who'd just discovered exactly how to dismantle an empire built on cruelty. "Happy Thanksgiving, Mrs. Hart," I whispered, already calculating the price of silence. My name is Ava Whitmore, and until that Thanksgiving evening, I believed family dinners were about gratitude, not violence. The Hart estate sprawled across 15 acres of Vermont countryside, its colonial facade glowing amber under November's early dusk. I'd arrived at 4:30 p.m., carrying my signature cranberry tart, the same one Evelyn had praised for 3 consecutive years. Adam squeezed my hand as we walked up the stone steps, but his grip felt mechanical, rehearsed. The dining room smelled of rosemary and burnt sugar. 23 relatives gathered around the imported Italian table, their voices creating a symphony of privilege and small-town gossip. Evelyn Hart presided from the head, her silver hair twisted into a chignon that cost more than most people's weekly groceries. She wore emerald earrings that caught the chandelier light family heirlooms she'd mentioned no fewer than 12 times since I'd married Adam. "Ava, darling," she cooed as I took my designated seat, always 3 chairs down on her left, never closer. Another year, another empty chair where my grandchild should be sitting. The room's temperature seemed to drop 10 degrees. Forks paused mid-air. Adam's jaw tightened, but he studied his wine glass like it held the secrets of the universe. "We've discussed this, Evelyn," I said, placing my napkin across my lap with deliberate calm. "Medical situations require patience." "Medical situations," she laughed, a sound like crystal breaking. "Is that what we're calling selfishness now? 5 years, Ava. 5 years of you prioritizing that little compliance job over giving my son an heir." The word heir hung in the air like a medieval curse. Around us, relatives shifted uncomfortably. Cousin Margaret whispered something to her husband. Uncle Thomas refilled his bourbon for the 3rd time since arriving. "My career at Astor and Pike has nothing to do with your career." Evelyn's voice sharpened to a blade. "Playing with spreadsheets while the Hart family line withers. Adam deserves children. This family deserves continuation. You're 34, not 24. Your expiration date is showing." I set down my fork deliberately, the small clink against china somehow louder than her words. "My worth isn't measured by my reproductive system. Evelyn." She stood so fast her chair scraped against hardwood. The chandelier crystals trembled. "In this family, it absolutely is." The slap came without warning, her palm connecting with my left cheek in a motion so swift, so practiced. I wondered if she'd rehearsed it. The sound cracked through the room like a whip. My skin burned, then went numb. The room exploded in gasps, but nobody moved. Nobody spoke. I turned to Adam, my husband of 5 years, the man who'd promised to protect me in sickness and health. He sat perfectly still, his eyes fixed on his mother, then sliding away to study the wallpaper. Not a word, not a gesture. Just silence, loud, damning, complete silence. I touched my cheek, feeling the heat radiate through my fingers. Then I noticed it the soft red light in the corner. The new smart doorbell camera we'd installed last month, the one that recorded continuously to the cloud. The one that had a clear angle into the dining room through the archway. Standing slowly, I picked up my wine glass, took a final sip of the excellent Bordeaux, and set it down with the grace Evelyn had always claimed I lacked. "Thank you, Mrs. Hart," I said, my voice steady as granite. "You've just taught me something valuable about this family's true worth." I gathered my purse, my movements unhurried, deliberate. The room remained frozen, a tableau of complicity and cowardice. As I passed Adam's chair, he finally looked up, his mouth opening to speak. "Don't," I said softly. Your silence was louder than her hand. At the doorway, I turned back one final time. Evelyn stood triumphant, her cheeks flushed with righteous anger. The relatives stared at their plates like children caught watching something forbidden. "Enjoy your dessert," I said. "And Mrs. Hart, that camera in the corner has been recording everything. HD video, crystal clear audio, cloud storage." I smiled then, not kindly. "I work in compliance. Remember, documentation is my specialty." The color drained from her face as I walked out, my heels clicking against marble, each step a promise of what was coming. Behind me, the room erupted in urgent whispers, but I didn't look back. The November air bit at my burning cheek as I got into my car. I didn't cry. Instead, I pulled out my phone and started making a list. Evidence, lawyers, leverage. Evelyn Hart had just made the worst mistake of her privileged life. She'd shown me exactly who she was, and more importantly, she'd done it on camera. The texts started at 11:47 p.m. that night. "Adam first, you embarrassed my mother. Come home so we can talk like adults." Then, Evelyn, "Dramatic exit won't change the truth. Some women simply aren't meant for motherhood." Then, the family group chat exploded 17 messages in 12 minutes, each one rewriting history. According to them, I'd provoked her, been disrespectful, ruined Thanksgiving with my sensitivity. I sat in my downtown apartment, the one I'd kept, despite Adam's protests about wasting money, and documented everything. Screenshot. Save. Backup. The bruise on my cheek had bloomed into a purple constellation. At the urgent care clinic, Dr. Miranda Jeffers had been thorough, professional, and quietly furious on my behalf. Facial contusion with visible finger marks. She dictated to her recorder. Patient reports assault by family member. Photographs taken for medical record. She'd handed me the visit summary with a knowing look. "This is your official copy. Keep it safe." By morning, I had 3 separate files: medical documentation, the doorbell footage I'd downloaded before Adam could delete it, and something unexpected, an Instagram story from Cousin Margaret's daughter, who'd been recording her grandmother's vintage tablescape when the slap happened. Different angle. Perfect audio. Already viewed by 300 people before she deleted it. But I'd screen recorded it first. Adam appeared at my apartment at 7:15 a.m., using his key before I could stop him. He looked haggard, his usually perfect hair uncombed. "We need to fix this," he said, not asking how I was, not mentioning my bruised face. "Mom's reputation in the community." "Your mother assaulted me." "You're overreacting." It was a moment of frustration. "She's under stress with the charity gala coming up." I laughed, sharp and bitter. Stress. She hit me because I haven't given her grandchildren. Maybe if you'd tried harder with the treatments. "Get out." I stood, my coffee mug trembling in my hand. "Get out before I call the police." "Ava, be reasonable. Nobody's going to take this seriously. It was a family disagreement." "Your mother's charity holds a lot of sway in Willow Creek," I said slowly. "But assault is assault. And I have video evidence." His face paled. "You wouldn't dare. The scandal would what hurt the woman who attacked me expose the man who sat silent while his wife was assaulted." I moved to the door, opening it wide. "Leave. Now." After he left, I made 3 phone calls. First, my bank, separating our accounts and freezing joint assets. Second, Sophia Reyes, my law school friend who'd become Vermont's fiercest women's rights attorney. Third, a locksmith. Sophia arrived at noon with legal pads and rage. Show me everything. We spent 2 hours building the foundation. The video made her whistle low. "This is gold. Ava, clear assault, multiple witnesses, medical documentation, but you want more than a restraining order, don't you?" "I want to destroy her carefully constructed world," I said, legally. That's when I showed her the notebook I'd found while packing Adam's, left behind from last tax season. Margin notes about his mother's charity. The Harvest Hearts Foundation? Numbers that didn't add up. Mentions of Green Willow Holdings, an LLC I'd never heard of. Is this what I think it is? Sophia asked. I'm a compliance officer, I said. I know financial irregularities when I see them, but I need more. She smiled, predatory and perfect. I know just the person, Marcus Bell, data forensics expert, completely legal methods, all public records and open source intelligence. If there's dirt, he'll find it. The family group chat continued its revisionist history. Aunt Patricia, Ava always was too sensitive. Uncle Thomas, Evelyn was just concerned about family legacy. Cousin Margaret, maybe therapy would help with the baby situation. Each message was another nail in their collective coffin. They thought they were pressuring me into silence. Instead, they were creating written evidence of systemic gaslighting and harassment. That evening, Adam sent a formal email from his work account. Ava, I've consulted with Mother's attorney. If you pursue any legal action, we'll countersue for defamation. The Hart family's reputation spans 3 generations in Vermont. You're a transplant who's been here 5 years. Consider carefully. I forwarded it to Sophia with a single line. He just threatened me in writing from his corporate email. Her response was immediate. Christmas came early. Keep documenting. Meeting with Marcus tomorrow at 9. We're going to war, but we're going to win it with paperwork and patience. I touched my bruised cheek in the mirror that night. The purple had deepened, spreading like spilled wine across my skin. But beneath the bruise, I was smiling. They thought they'd broken me with violence and isolation. Instead, they'd freed me to become something far more dangerous, a woman with nothing left to lose and everything to prove. Marcus Bell's office smelled like coffee and electronics. 3 monitors glowed with spreadsheets, property records, and corporate filings. He'd already been working for 2 hours when Sophia and I arrived at 9A. Your mother-in-law is sloppy, he said by way of greeting, spinning his chair to face us. Harvest Hearts Foundation shows $3.2 million in donations last year, but guess where 40% went? Green Willow Holdings, I said. Bingo. An LLC registered in Delaware, but operating here. Sole member Evelyn Hart. It's supposedly a community development initiative. His fingers made air quotes. Except it's actually a pass-through entity funneling charity funds into personal real estate investments. Sophia leaned forward. That's wire fraud if any donations crossed state lines. They did. Multiple donors from New York, Massachusetts, New Hampshire. Marcus pulled up another screen. But here's the really interesting part. The Heartstone Inn. It's hemorrhaging money. They took a bridge loan 6 months ago, $2.8 million due in full next week. They've missed 2 interest payments already. My compliance instincts fired. Who holds the note? Piedmont Financial. But here's where it gets beautiful, they're selling it. Distressed debt. 60 cents on the dollar. It hit the secondary market yesterday. Sophia and I exchanged glances. How much to buy it? I asked. $1.7 million for a $2.8 million note, plus first position on the property worth $4.5 million? I have $2.1 million from my mother's estate, I said quietly. It's been sitting in treasury bonds. Sophia's smile was sharp. You'd own your mother-in-law's flagship property, the one she holds charity events at. We need more ammunition first, Marcus said. I found something else. Naomi Blake at the Willow Creek Tribune has been sniffing around the foundation for months. She filed 3 FOIA requests about their tax exemption status. Want to guess who got them quashed? Adam's uncle, I said. Judge Thomas Hart. Conflict of interest much. Sophia was already taking notes. Naomi would love this story. Assault, financial fraud, judicial corruption. It's Pulitzer material for local news. I met Naomi that afternoon at a coffee shop downtown. She was younger than expected, maybe 28, with intelligent eyes and ink-stained fingers. I've been tracking the Harvest Hearts discrepancies for 8 months, she said, sliding a folder across the table. But the Hart family has connections everywhere. My editor killed 2 stories already. What if you had documented assault video evidence and a paper trail of self-dealing? Her eyes lit up. I'd have enough to go to the state desk, maybe even national if the fraud's big enough. I showed her the doorbell video on my phone. She watched Evelyn slap me, watched Adam's silence, watched my exit. Jesus Christ, she whispered. This is everything. When's the gala? December 3rd, 6 days from now. Perfect timing. I can have the investigation ready to publish that morning. Maximum impact, Sophia interjected. We're filing civil assault charges and requesting a temporary restraining order tomorrow. That's public record once filed. The TRO will make page 1, Naomi promised. Prominent charity leader under restraining order. That's headline gold. That evening, I sat with Marcus and Sophia in my apartment, building our three-pronged attack. Legal papers spread across my dining table. Bank statements, corporate filings. The assault gives us the moral high ground, Sophia said. The fraud gives us criminal leverage, but buying the debt that gives us power. Marcus had already set up the shell company Northlake Ridge LLC, registered in Vermont with me as the sole member. Piedmont wants to close quickly. We can have the note by end of business tomorrow. Do it, I said. My phone buzzed. Adam again. Mother's prepared to apologize. Come to dinner tomorrow. We can work this out as a family. I showed it to Sophia. Reply and accept, she said. But add that you're bringing your attorney for your protection. See what they do. I typed the response. Adam's reply was instant. No lawyers. Family only. Stop making this adversarial. Perfect, Sophia said. He just refused to allow you legal protection after documented assault. Screenshot that. Marcus was deep in another screen. Oh, this is delicious. 3 weeks ago, Evelyn transferred personal funds into the charity account to cover a shortfall, then transferred them back out plus 20%. That's called commingling, and it's a federal crime for 501c3 organizations. How much evidence do we have? I asked. 63 documents and growing. Banking records, property transfers, tax filings, all public record, all legally obtained. Sophia stood, stretching. The gala is in 6 days. We file the TRO tomorrow, which gives them 3 days to respond. The story breaks the morning of the gala. And that night, I said, touching my still bruised cheek. Evelyn Hart learns what happens when you slap someone who knows how to hit back with paperwork. Marcus pulled up one final screen. By the way, the Heartstone Inn. If they default on that bridge loan, whoever holds the note can initiate foreclosure proceedings immediately. Vermont law allows for expedited commercial foreclosure as fast as 30 days. I stared at the property listing. The beautiful inn where Evelyn held court, where she'd hosted my wedding reception, where she'd first told me I was barely adequate for her son. Buy the note, I said. Tomorrow at 9 a.m. sharp. The wire transfer went through at 9:12 a.m. $1.7 million, and Northlake Ridge LLC became the proud owner of Heartstone Inn's distressed debt. The Piedmont financial executive seemed relieved to offload it. The borrowers are difficult, he admitted over the phone. Missed payments, excuses, threats of litigation, good luck collecting? I smiled at my reflection in my laptop screen. I have my methods. Sophia filed the civil assault complaint and TRO request at 10:30 a.m. By noon, the process server had delivered copies to both Evelyn and Adam. The sheriff would serve the official restraining order once approved, likely within 48 hours. The reaction was immediate. 17 missed calls from Adam, 12 from Evelyn, 3 from their attorney. Richardson Pike, yes. From the same Pike family as my firm. Astor and Pike. The irony wasn't lost on me. At 2 p.m., my boss, Stephen Astor, called me into his office. Richardson Pike just phoned, he said, studying me over his reading glasses. Says you're creating a hostile situation with a prominent client's family. Evelyn Hart assaulted me. I have video evidence. He winced. I saw the complaint. Richardson suggested you might be happier at another firm. Is that a threat to my employment? It's a complicated situation. The Harts donate significantly to the children's hospital where you're on the board. I know. I placed a folder on his desk. This is a whistleblower complaint I'm prepared to file with the State Labor Board if I experience any retaliation for pursuing legal remedies for assault. Stephen's face darkened. You're playing a dangerous game. No, I'm playing a documented one. Every conversation, every threat, every attempt at intimidation, I have it all in writing. He dismissed me without another word, but I knew I'd bought myself time. Corporate lawyers hate labor disputes more than anything. Marcus called at 3:45 p.m. You need to see this. Evelyn just transferred $800,000 from the charity to Green Willow Holdings. She's liquidating, moving assets offshore. Can you track it? Already did. The money went to a Cayman Islands account. But here's the stupid part: she used the charity's main operating account. That's traceable wire fraud. Sophia conference called us immediately. We need to accelerate. If she's moving money, she might run. Naomi needs to publish sooner. The gala's in 4 days, I said. Can we hold until then? Why, Marcus asked. Because I want her surrounded by everyone she's ever tried to impress when her world collapses. But we need insurance she won't flee. Sophia had an idea. The TRO includes surrendering her passport once served, standard for assault cases with flight risk. That evening, Naomi met us at Marcus's office with her editor, James Caldwell, a veteran journalist who'd covered financial crimes for 20 years. This is solid, James said after reviewing everything. The assault video alone would run, but combined with the financial fraud, we're looking at statewide pickup, maybe national. I need until the gala, I said. December 3rd, morning edition. Why wait? James asked. Because every major donor will be there, every politician she's bought, every family member who enabled her. They all need to witness this. Naomi understood. The spectacle becomes part of the story. Charity leader served papers at own gala. It's theatrical justice. Can you guarantee exclusive coverage that night? I'll personally cover it with a photographer. We'll stream live on our website. My phone buzzed. Adam, Mother's attorney wants to meet. Tomorrow, 4 p.m., neutral location. Will you come? I showed it to Sophia. Accept, but at our office. Make them come to us. The next morning, the TRO was approved. Evelyn would be served within hours. The order was comprehensive: no contact, no third-party harassment, surrender of passport, and most beautifully, no access to joint financial accounts pending investigation. Marcus had spent the night analyzing the Heartstone Inn's books, which we now legally owned through the debt purchase. They're in breach on 12 covenants, he reported. We can call the note immediately. Not yet, I said. I want the timing perfect. At noon, my personal banker called. Mrs. Whitmore, there's been unusual activity. Someone tried to access your inheritance accounts using old authorization codes. Adam, the attempt originated from Hart Construction's IP address. Please flag the account for additional security and document all access attempts. Already done. We've also noticed you're listed as a signatory on several Hart family trusts. Did you want to review those holdings? I hadn't known about the trusts. Send me everything. The documents revealed Adam had added me to 3 family trusts 2 years ago tax purposes, he'd said. But now I had legal standing to request full accounting of all trust activities. Another weapon in my arsenal. Richardson Pike arrived at our office at 4 p.m. with Adam and, surprisingly, Evelyn, despite the fresh TRO. She's violating the restraining order by being here, Sophia said immediately. We're in a legal meeting about civil resolution. Richardson countered. That's permitted with counsel present. Evelyn looked older, her usual polish cracked. You've made your point. Ava, what will it take to end this full public apology? $2 million in damages, your resignation from Harvest Hearts, and immediate psychiatric evaluation. Ridiculous, Richardson scoffed. We'll offer $50,000 and a private apology. I stood. Then we're done. See you in court. And Mrs. Hart. You have 48 hours to pay the Heartstone Inn's note in full. $1.7 million? Her face went white. What are you talking about? Northlake Ridge LLC owns your debt now. That's my company. Payment in full or we initiate foreclosure. You can't, Adam started. I did, and in 4 days, at your gala, everyone will know exactly who Evelyn Hart really is. Sophia ushered them out, but not before Evelyn hissed, "You vindictive little bitch." "No," I said calmly. "I'm a vindictive little bitch with evidence, legal standing, and your mortgage. There's a difference." Adam showed up at my apartment at 11:20 p.m., drunk and desperate. I watched him through the doorbell camera, the same model that had captured his mother's assault, as he fumbled with keys that no longer worked. "Ava, please, I know you're in there. We need to talk." I opened the door but kept the chain on. "You're violating the spirit of the TRO by acting as your mother's proxy." "Fuck the TRO." His usually perfect composure was shattered. "Do you know what you're doing? You're destroying everything. Everything was already destroyed when you sat silent while your mother assaulted me." He pressed his forehead against the doorframe. I was shocked. I froze. "I'm sorry." "No, you made a choice. You chose her, like you always have." "That's not—" He stopped, seeming to realize something. "You've been planning this. The apartment, the separate accounts. You knew this was coming. I hoped it wouldn't, but I prepared for the possibility that the man who promised to protect me would fail when it mattered most." "The inn, Ava. You can't take the inn. It's been in my family for 60 years. It's been collateral for bad decisions for 6 months. Your mother leveraged it to fund her lifestyle while embezzling from charity. That's not my fault. I'll pay you back. Every penny. Just give me time." I laughed, short and bitter. "Time like the 5 years I gave you while your mother called me barren, while you scheduled my fertility appointments around her social calendar, while you told me to be patient every time she humiliated me. This is different. You're right. This is different. This time, there are consequences." I pulled out my phone, showing him a document. "Do you recognize this?" His face paled. "Our prenup? Section 17, Clause 4, Moral Turpitude Clause. If either spouse enables or fails to prevent physical harm from family members, the injured party receives 70% of marital assets and full claim to any joint investments. That was meant for abuse prevention." "Which is exactly what this is. Your mother physically assaulted me while you watched. Sophia says it's textbook applicability." "You're twisting the intent. I'm reading the words you insisted I sign. You were so concerned about protecting your family money. You never considered you might be the one to trigger the clause." He slammed his palm against the doorframe. "What do you want?" "I want you to feel what I felt. Helpless. Betrayed. Alone." I started to close the door. "The clock's ticking. Adam, 42 hours until the loan comes due. Your mother can pay it, liquidate the inn, or watch me foreclose. Your choice." "This isn't you," he said desperately. "The Ava I married wouldn't. The Ava you married believed you'd protect her. That Ava died when your mother's hand met her face, and you said nothing." The next morning, Sophia called with news. Richardson Pike filed an emergency injunction to stop the foreclosure. Judge Morrison threw it out. Turns out, he remembers when Thomas Hart quashed his daughter's DUI case 10 years ago. He's not feeling charitable toward the Hart family. And the prenup? Ironclad. I've filed for expedited divorce proceedings with the moral turpitude clause activated. Adam's personal accounts are frozen pending division of assets. Marcus had more intelligence. Evelyn tried to get a bridge loan from 3 banks yesterday. All rejected. Turns out, Naomi's editor made some calls. Nobody wants to touch her until the investigation clears. "She's trapped," I said. "Better. She's desperate. Desperate people make mistakes." He was right. That afternoon, Evelyn made her biggest mistake yet. She called me directly, violating the TRO. "You little nobody!" she snarled into my voicemail. You think you've won? I built this town's charity infrastructure. I own judges, politicians, police commissioners. You're a compliance clerk who spreads her legs for any man who— I saved the recording and forwarded it to Sophia, who immediately filed contempt charges. At 3 p.m., I met with my ally. I hadn't expected, Margaret Hart Davies, Adam's cousin who'd been at the Thanksgiving dinner. I can't stand by anymore, she said, sliding a USB drive across the table. That's 18 years of Evelyn's emails from the family server. Every threat, every bribe, every manipulation. Why now? Because she slapped my daughter once, 3 years ago. We were told to keep quiet for the family reputation. Margaret's eyes were wet but determined. I've watched her destroy 7 marriages in this family. You're the first one to fight back with something other than tears. The USB contained gold emails documenting systematic embezzlement, threats to board members, even admissions of tax evasion. Margaret, this is enough to put her in federal prison. Good. Maybe Orange will humble her. That evening, Adam sent one final message through his attorney. Ava, I'm prepared to sign the divorce papers uncontested. Full adherence to the moral turpitude clause, the house, the investments, everything you're entitled to. But please, don't take the inn. I'll personally guarantee the loan payment. Sophia advised accepting. It's a good offer. You'd get $4 million in assets immediately. It's not about the money anymore, I said. It's about accountability. Then what's your end game? I looked at the gala invitation on my desk, gold embossed, requesting the honor of my presence at Harvest of Hearts. Public justice. She built her empire on reputation and fear. I'm going to end it with truth and documentation. The loan comes due the day before the gala. I know. We'll serve the foreclosure notice at 11:59 p.m. on December 2nd. She'll wake up on gala day to find she's lost everything. Sophia smiled slowly. You've become quite the strategist. No, I corrected. I've become what she created, someone with nothing left to lose and everything to prove. December 2nd arrived gray and bitter, fitting weather for an execution. At 9 a.m., North Lake Ridge LLC officially filed notice of default on the Heartstone Inn loan. The 24-hour cure period began ticking down. Marcus had positioned everything perfectly. The foreclosure filing hits public record at midnight. By morning, it'll be searchable. Every guest at tomorrow's gala will know Evelyn Hart is broke before the champagne's poured. But Evelyn made one last desperate play. At 2 p.m., Richardson Pike arrived at Sophia's office with a cashier's check. $1.7 million, he announced. Payment in full for the Heartstone Inn note. Sophia examined the check carefully. From the Harvest Hearts Foundation account. The source is irrelevant. The debt is paid. The source is extremely relevant, I said, entering the conference room. Using charity funds for personal debt is criminal conversion. Richardson's smile faltered. The inn hosts charity events. It's a legitimate expense. Not according to IRS regulations. Marcus pulled up his laptop. The inn is owned by Green Willow Holdings, Evelyn's personal LLC. The charity paying personal debts is textbook fraud. You can't prove intent. Actually, we can. I placed Margaret's USB drive on the table. 18 years of emails discussing how to wash money through the foundation, including one from yesterday at 4:37 p.m., where Evelyn explicitly states she's using charity funds to save her personal asset. Richardson went pale. How did you legally obtained from a family member with authorized access? Would you like to withdraw that check before we report it to the Attorney General? He grabbed the check and left without another word. At 6 p.m., Naomi called with final confirmations. Story goes live at 6 a.m. tomorrow. Front page, above the fold. Charity leader faces assault charges. Federal investigation. We've got confirmation from 3 sources at the AG's office they're opening a formal inquiry Monday morning. The gala starts at 7 p.m. tomorrow. I'll be there with a full crew. We've got press credentials through the normal channels. Evelyn can't bar us without making it worse. That night, I couldn't sleep. At 11:58 p.m., I watched the clock on my laptop as Marcus initiated the electronic filing. At exactly midnight, the foreclosure notice went live. The Heartstone Inn was officially in default, with expedited commercial foreclosure proceedings beginning immediately. My phone rang at 12:15 a. "Adam, you did it," he said, voice hollow. "You actually did it. Your mother had every opportunity to make this right. She's having a breakdown. The doctor's here now. Are you happy? I'm satisfied that consequences exist, even for the Evelyn Harts of the world. The gala will proceed as planned. Your mother wouldn't want to disappoint the donors. You're going to destroy her publicly." "No, Adam, I'm going to reveal her publicly. There's a difference." December 3rd dawned crisp and bright. The morning edition of the Willow Creek Tribune landed on doorsteps at 5:30 a.m. By 7. Harvest of Hearts was trending on social media, but not how Evelyn had planned. I spent the morning at Sophia's office, preparing final documents. We had 3 separate packages ready: criminal referral for the Attorney General, civil asset forfeiture for the fraudulent transfers, and dissolution papers for the Harvest Hearts Foundation. "You could stop here," Sophia offered. "The newspaper story, the foreclosure she's already ruined." She slapped me in front of 23 people, and 23 people stayed silent. This isn't just about her anymore. Marcus arrived at noon with intelligence from his morning reconnaissance. "The inn is in chaos. Staff are walking out. 3 major vendors pulled out of tonight's catering, but Evelyn's insisting the gala continue." "Of course she is. Canceling would be admitting defeat." At 3 p.m., an unexpected call came from Stephen Astor, my boss. "I owe you an apology," he said carefully. "I've read the morning paper. What Evelyn Hart did was unconscionable. Your position at Astor and Pike is secure, and we're prepared to support any legal action you pursue. Because I'm right, or because the Harts are now toxic. Does it matter? Yes, but I'll accept your support regardless." At 5 p.m., I stood in my apartment, looking at the evening gown I'd chosen: black, elegant, expensive. The same dress I'd worn to last year's gala when Evelyn had introduced me as Adam's wife, though hopefully not for much longer if we want grandchildren. Everyone had laughed. I'd smiled and endured. Tonight, I wouldn't be enduring. Sophia arrived at 6, wearing her power suit. Ready. Almost. I pulled up the Sheriff's Department website. The contempt warrant for Evelyn's TRO violation was just signed. They'll be serving it tonight. At the gala. I may have mentioned to the clerk that she'd be at the Heartstone Inn from 7 to 11 p.m., public venue, multiple witnesses, ideal for service. Marcus texted from his car. "State Attorney General's office just confirmed. They're sending investigators tonight. Wants to interview Evelyn before she can destroy more evidence." I picked up my clutch, checking the contents: phone, recorder, and a single USB drive containing everything, every document, every email, every recording. "What's that for?" Sophia asked. "Insurance? In case Evelyn wants to negotiate one last time." "And if she doesn't?" I smiled, thinking of Evelyn's face when she slapped me, the righteous fury in her eyes, the absolute certainty that she was untouchable. Then everyone at that gala learns exactly how Evelyn Hart built her empire and watches it burn. The Heartstone Inn glowed against the December night, strung with lights and false promises. Through the windows, I could see the crowd gathering, the who's who of Willow Creek society, all here to celebrate Evelyn Hart's charitable kingdom. They had no idea they were actually attending its funeral. The Heartstone Inn's ballroom glittered with false elegance. Crystal chandeliers cast dancing shadows across 200 faces. Mayors, judges, business leaders, all gathered to celebrate Evelyn Hart's charitable empire. She stood at the center in emerald silk, playing the gracious hostess as if her world wasn't collapsing. I entered at 7:20 p.m., Sophia beside me. Marcus somewhere in the crowd with his phone ready. The room's temperature seemed to drop. Conversations stuttered. Everyone had read the morning paper. Evelyn's eyes found mine across the room. For a moment, her mask slipped, pure hatred flashed before the practiced smile returned. She lifted her champagne glass slightly, a mock toast. I smiled back and moved toward the bar. Adam intercepted me near the auction tables. "Don't do this," he whispered urgently. "Please. There's still time to what, pretend she didn't assault me, pretend you didn't let her. Ava, enjoy the party. Adam, it's the last one your mother will ever host here." Sheen, at 7:45, Naomi arrived with her photographer, press credentials visible. Evelyn couldn't bar them without causing a scene. They positioned themselves strategically, camera ready. The program began at 8. Evelyn took the stage, radiant under the spotlights. Behind her, a projection screen showed images of happy children, funded programs, smiling families, all the good the Harvest Hearts Foundation claimed to do. "Welcome, dear friends," she began, her voice steady despite everything. "Tonight, we celebrate not just charity, but community, not just giving, but family." That's when the first surprise arrived. 2 state attorney general investigators entered, badges visible. The room stirred. Evelyn's smile flickered but held. "As I was saying," she continued, voice slightly higher, "family is everything. The Hart family has served this community for 3 generations. The projection screen behind her changed. Instead of charity photos, financial documents appeared. Wire transfers, embezzlement records, the self-dealing trail Marcus had uncovered. Evelyn spun around, then back to the audience. "Technical difficulties." "No difficulties," I said, standing. I held up my phone, the presentation remote app visible. "Just transparency." The room erupted in whispers. Photographers started shooting. Evelyn gripped the podium. "You vindictive little Mrs. Hart," one of the investigators called out. "We need to speak with you. Now." "I'm in the middle of—" The main doors opened again. 2 sheriff's deputies entered, the lead one holding papers. "Evelyn Hart, we have a warrant for contempt of court. Violation of a restraining order." The society crowd gasped collectively. Phones appeared, recording everything. Evelyn's composure finally cracked. "This is harassment. I'll sue every one of you." I walked to the stage, calm as winter morning. The microphone was still live. "Ladies and gentlemen," I said, my voice carrying across the stunned room. "A week ago, Evelyn Hart slapped me for not providing her with grandchildren. 23 family members watched. No one said a word. I clicked the remote. The doorbell video played on screen. The slap, the silence, my exit. The room watched in horrified fascination. But that wasn't the worst part, I continued. The worst part was discovering that while Evelyn preached about charity and community, she was stealing from both. More documents appeared: the forensic accounting, the fraudulent transfers, the Cayman Islands accounts. The Harvest Hearts Foundation has been a personal piggy bank for years. Your donations didn't go to children in need. They went to Green Willow Holdings, to personal debts, to maintaining the Hart family facade. Evelyn lunged toward me, but the deputies caught her. "Lies, all lies." "Then you won't mind the audit," the lead investigator said. "We have a seizure order for all foundation records." I turned to Adam, who stood frozen by the bar. "Your husband knew. He chose silence over truth, comfort over courage. The Hart family values, they're built on complicity." The foreclosure notice appeared on screen. "As of midnight last night, the Heartstone Inn is in foreclosure. North Lake Ridge, LLC. My company owns the note. This building will be sold at auction in 30 days. The crowd was in full panic now. Donors realizing their contributions were tainted. Politicians calculating distance. Society matrons clutching pearls. Evelyn, held between 2 deputies, found her voice. "You destroyed everything, my life's work." "No," I said, stepping closer. "You destroyed it the moment you raised your hand to me. I just documented the collapse." The lead investigator approached the microphone. The Attorney General's office is opening a formal criminal investigation into the Harvest Hearts Foundation. We advise all donors to retain records for potential restitution claims." The sheriff's deputy began reading Evelyn her rights for the contempt charge. "You have the right to remain silent." She wasn't silent. She screamed, cursed, threatened everyone in sight. The photographer captured every moment. Tomorrow's headlines would write themselves. I walked off the stage toward Sophia, who was documenting everything for our civil case. Behind me, I heard Adam finally speak. "Mother, stop, please, just stop." Too little, too late. As the deputies escorted Evelyn out, I raised my own champagne glass to the stunned crowd. "Happy holidays, everyone. May you find the courage to speak up when it matters." The ballroom emptied in minutes. Donors fled, politicians vanished, family members scattered like roaches in sudden light. Only Adam remained, sitting at an abandoned table, staring at the foreclosure notice still glowing on the screen. I approached him one last time. "The divorce papers will be filed Monday. Don't contest them." "You got what you wanted," he said hollowly. "Complete destruction." "No, I got what I deserved. Justice. There's a difference." Outside, Evelyn was being placed in the sheriff's car, her empire in ruins, her reputation destroyed, her freedom potentially forfeit. Press cameras captured every second. Naomi appeared beside me. That was magnificent and brutal. It was necessary. The fallout was swift and merciless. By morning, Evelyn Hart's mugshot was on every news site in Vermont. Charity Queen's Crystal Castle crumbles ran above the fold. The Attorney General's office froze all Harvest Hearts Foundation accounts before breakfast. 17 board members resigned before lunch. I sat in my apartment at 10 a.m., watching the news coverage with Sophia and Marcus. My phone had been ringing nonstop: reporters, relatives, Adam's attempts from 3 different numbers. I ignored them all. "The federal prosecutor wants to meet Monday," Sophia said, reviewing her notes. "With Margaret's emails and the forensic accounting, Evelyn's looking at 15 to 20 years. "What about the inn?" Marcus asked. "Auction in 30 days. I've already had 3 offers from hotel chains." "You're selling?" "Of course. I don't want her legacy. I want it erased." The doorbell rang. On the camera feed, Adam stood outside, looking destroyed. Against Sophia's advice, I let him in. "Mother's being held without bail," he said. "Flight risk," they said, because of the passport in her car. That's not my concern. The family's ruined. Uncle Thomas is being investigated for judicial interference. 14 relatives are being audited. You didn't just destroy her, you destroyed everyone. They destroyed themselves by enabling her. I just provided transparency." He pulled out an envelope. "The divorce papers, signed, uncontested, everything you wanted." I took them, noting his shaking hands. "You could have prevented all of this with one word that night." "One stop when she raised her hand." "I know," he whispered. "I'll live with that forever." Good. After he left, I stood at my window, looking out at Willow Creek, the town that had seemed so impenetrable, so controlled by old money and older traditions, now felt different, smaller, conquerable. My phone buzzed with a text from Naomi. "Story just won the New England Press Association Award for Investigative Reporting. Thank you for trusting me." Another from Margaret. "The family is having an emergency meeting. They're discussing disbanding the family trust entirely. You did what none of us could." Stephen Astor called personally. "The partners met this morning. We're promoting you to Senior Director of Compliance. Your instincts saved this firm from association with a criminal enterprise." But the message that mattered most came at 4 p.m. from a number I didn't recognize. "My name is Jennifer. I was slapped by Evelyn Hart at a charity function 3 years ago when I questioned expense reports. Everyone told me to stay quiet. Seeing you stand up, seeing her held accountable, you gave me hope that power isn't permanent. Thank you." I realized then that Evelyn had been right about one thing: this had never been just about me. It was about every person she'd hurt, humiliated, or silenced with her wealth and connections. The Heartstone Inn auction took place on January 2nd. I attended, watching from the back as the building sold to a boutique hotel chain for $3.2 million, enough to cover the debt and provide restitution to the charity's victims. They planned to rename it the Phoenix Inn. Fitting. Evelyn's trial began in March. I testified for 3 days, presenting evidence, videos, documents. She sat at the defendant's table in orange instead of emerald, her empire reduced to a case number. When the guilty verdict came down 18 counts of fraud, embezzlement, and money laundering, she didn't cry. She just stared at me with those cold eyes, finally understanding that money couldn't buy immunity from consequences. Adam moved to California the day the divorce finalized. I heard he started therapy, finally addressing the toxic patterns his mother had woven into his DNA. Too late for us, but maybe not for his future. I kept my apartment in Willow Creek, but traveled more, speaking at conferences about corporate compliance and the importance of documentation. Evidence is protection. I'd tell audiences, document everything, every slight, every threat, every moment that feels wrong, because someday, that paper trail might be your path to justice. 1 year later, on Thanksgiving Day, I hosted dinner in my apartment. Sophia came with her partner. Marcus brought his family. Naomi arrived with her editor, James. Even Margaret joined us, finally free from the Hart family shadow. As we sat around my table, no one mentioned the previous year. We didn't need to. The bruise on my cheek had long faded, but the lesson remained: silence in the face of abuse is complicity. And sometimes the best revenge isn't served cold, it's served with receipts, recordings, and irrefutable evidence. I raised my glass of wine, the same Bordeaux from that night, because I'd bought a case of it as a reminder. To speaking up, I toasted, to fighting back, and to the beautiful truth that no one is untouchable when documentation meets determination. We clinked glasses, and I thought I heard, somewhere in the distance, the sound of an empire's final echoes fading into nothing. Evelyn Hart had slapped me once. I had destroyed her entirely, and I slept perfectly well every single night. Happy Thanksgiving, Mrs. Hart. The end. Thank you so much for listening to this story. I'd love to know where you're listening from. Drop a comment below and let's connect. If this story of justice and revenge resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts. Did Ava go too far, or did Evelyn Hart get exactly what she deserved? Let me know what you think in the comments.